Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to week two. Well, I hit the computer. Welcome back to week two of the Teacup for One presidential movie marathon. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees, and we are back. We are back to hear a bunch of Canadians and one American talk about movies about American politics during election season. What a time to be alive, right? Right. Well, tonight we are talking about a film from the 90s. I think it's 1995. It is The American President. Let me just double check who worked on this movie. Yeah, so it was directed by Rob Reiner, but written by Aaron Sorkin, which I found really interesting. So for those who don't know the name Aaron Sorkin, I'm sure you know his work. He was the brain behind The West Wing, which was another presidential thing people have said. And by people, I mean like one offhanded comment I read on the internet said that The American President was like his first draft for The West Wing. He also wrote Molly's Game and directed that, even though that's not what he should be known or remembered for, because that movie was kind of mid, to be honest. But then there was also A Few Good Men. You know, A Few Good Men. You Can't Handle the Truth. He wrote that. He also did his own adaptation of To Kill a Mockingbird, plus The Social Network. That's the thing that got my heart. Aaron Sorkin. And he's done The Newsroom. That's another thing. The thing with Aaron Sorkin is that he likes to write really intelligent sounding banter. Whether it is intelligent or not, I'm not sure. But I found it really funny that this movie opened with like the most Aaron Sorkin-y exchange where it's like, oh, the Fish Society wants to give you a giant fish. Okay, make sure that everyone from here on out gives me a giant fish. Okay, no, I was kidding. It was like a very... like if I were to write a parody of an Aaron Sorkin exchange, that would have been it. But I don't need to because it was there. So anyway, today we are discussing The American President. Plus, maybe we'll talk about some other things that have happened recently in terms of presidents. Anyway, let's see who we have in the comments section. It looks like we have my cat speaking through my mom's account. We have Sabrina, who did not watch this movie. It sounded boring. We should have a cat marathon. That would be fun. We could just watch cats every week. We also have Eliza. She doesn't get involved in politics or religion. Eliza wants to do a cat marathon. Yeah, although I do feel like Eliza chooses chaos more often than not. So I know she doesn't get involved in politics, but I feel like Eliza creates her own politics. There we are. What else do we have here? According to Vince of Only Time Will Tell, Michael Douglas is not the same guy as Mike Douglas of the famous Mike Douglas talk show from the late 1900s. I have not heard of the Mike Douglas show, but apparently it was on after school. I'm guessing school for my mom, not school for me. Anyway, let's bring in our first guest for this evening, host, creator, and mastermind behind Only Time Will Tell. Who could it be? Only Time Will Tell. Just kidding. It's Vince. Hi, Vince.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
It's great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. Vince, would you vote for Andy Shepherd?
I don't know. Look, I guess if he was going up against Richard Dreyfuss, sure. It depends with this two-party system. It really depends on who the other person is. I think that's all it boils down to these days.
I mean, I would like a president who feels that we can have both. That we can address both global warming as well as gun control. It's not one or the other. I think you can have both. I want a president who can do both.
That's true. That was, look, if we got the Andy Shepherd from the last 5 minutes of this movie throughout the entire presidency, I'd feel a lot better about voting for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's going for a second term. Maybe that's the energy he's going to take with him.
That's the strategy, isn't it? You gotta. You can't do too much in your first term because you got to get reelected for a second.
Exactly. Exciting. Well, Vince, yeah. So anyway, that was my opening question. There we go.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we are still waiting on some other friends, but let's just. Oh, actually, one of them's here. We'll give her a second. But yeah, Vince, just quick. What was your opening thoughts? What'd you think about this movie?
You know what? I've never heard of this movie before going into it, and and when I heard it was on the roster for this cycle of reviews, I wasn't that interested in signing up. But you guys convinced me last week because you spoke so fondly of it, or at least Jeanette did. I'm not sure what side of the fence you fell on, but I enjoyed this movie.
Work in his fun side of the fence. Yeah.
You know what? You mentioned The Newsroom earlier. I think I watched all 3 seasons of that.
Okay.
And I think the deal with The Newsroom is you have this fantastic pilot episode which is immediately preceded by a huge drop off. like, like Aaron writes this great pilot with this wonderful 5-minute speech that opens it up.
About why America's the greatest country in the world?
Why it's no longer the greatest country in the world.
But it could be.
But it could be. And you know what? I think that's what people ate that right up at the time. And I think they still would eat that right up, obviously. But yeah, no, I guess he would, once the show got greenlit, he's like, oh no, I gotta write 7 more episodes of this, followed by 2 more seasons. Dev Patel is very good in that show, I have to say.
Is he in that? I don't remember.
Yeah, he plays the comedic relief.
Was he in all the seasons? Was he in season 1? Did I see him?
He's definitely in season 1, definitely in season 2. I think he's only in like 1 or 2 episodes in the final season.
Okay, I remember Allison Pill was there.
Oh yeah,
the guy from Spring Awakening on Broadway. Yeah. And Jeff Daniels, because we love Jeff Daniels. I love Jeff Daniels. I'm a fan.
Jeff Daniels is good.
Daniels is good. You know who else I'm a fan of? You know who else is good? Lisa. Look, everybody, it's Lisa.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Lisa.
Hey.
Lisa for Andy Shepherd.
No, I would never vote for that man. No, but I also wouldn't vote for the Republican candidate in this movie. So, pardon?
Do you spoil your ballot or just not vote this year?
I would go and abstain. Like, you can abstain your votes. They count that.
Was Ralph Nader active in these days? He could vote for Ralph Nader.
Who's Ralph Nader?
He was the Green Party candidate in the early 2000s. I'm not sure when.
95. This is long before the Green Party. Well, probably not.
Okay. Well, you could always vote Green, Lisa. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I don't know. U.S. politics. I mean, it's not any better over here. So, yeah. Matt, nice haircut.
Well, thank you.
It looks great.
Thank you. Oh, look, it's a brush on the side. It's a good time. I don't have to wear it.
Very suave.
Getting ready for my election. There we go.
Nice.
Yeah. So what is it that is a no-go for you with Andy Shepherd? Is it that he's just able to be bought on certain big, hot button issues like global warming?
Yeah. Also, he seemed maybe this is just because this is Michael Douglas playing the president, but he seems like he's a JFK wannabe. And there's only one JFK, guys.
That's true.
Calm
To
down.
me, he came off as a Mike Dukakis.
I don't know who that is.
Mike Dukakis ran for president against George Bush Sr. And his ship got sunk after one of the debates. It was kind of a famous moment, I think. But he kind of reminds me of him. I watched a documentary about Mike Dukakis once.
Interesting.
I know the Andy Shepherd character has been likened to Bill Clinton a lot, but I really don't see it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see the Bill Clinton, but I do see the JFK.
Mm-hmm.
I just see a glorified view of a president in the mid-90s.
Yeah, I also all I see is they mention it in the movie that he wouldn't have been president if his wife didn't die right before the vote, which I'm like, yeah, I mean, I probably would vote for him out of sympathy. During that, I'd be like, oh my God, what a poor widower. Oh my God, his poor daughter. Totally. I would totally do something like that. But retrospectively and also looking at it as an audience member, I'm like, pathetic. Pathetic.
Except how does that affect his ability to lead?
Exactly. It doesn't.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't.
Anyway, Lisa, what are your opening thoughts on this film? I'm guessing it was your first time seeing it as well, yes?
Yeah, it was my first time. I've never heard of it. And I mean, I consider myself an Annette Bening fan, so I was shocked that I was like, oh wow, something I haven't seen her in. So my opening thoughts. I had to watch it at 1.5 speed. It was so slow, and even at 1.5 speed, it was still slow.
Really?
Thank goodness for the YouTube ability of 1.5 speed.
Thank goodness it was on YouTube.
It was, yeah. Vince rented it. I think he rented it.
Oh, someone like uploaded it just outright 9 years ago.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's disappointing. I wish I saw that.
Oh, well.
Mm,
Better luck next time.
You bought dinner for Aaron Sorkin, so.
Yep.
I don't like Aaron Sorkin.
Really?
No, I took his master class, on the master class site for screenwriting, and I'm
Really?
I don't know. I didn't learn anything I didn't know before, and I thought his I don't know. I don't like his style. It's not for me.
I'm less engaged with his style. I remember reading at one point that he took a lot of influence early in his career from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and that's all I can see and hear now is just it feels like he writes intentionally to try to sound impressive, as it were, just like a lot of back and forth, a lot of snappy, seemingly intellectual stuff that moves so quickly you can't stop to think whether or not there is sense to it. And yeah.
But Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Edward Albee. So much better.
That's great. Yeah. No, I think Albee does it well, but I feel like Sorkin saw that and thought I could do that, but can you?
When did this come out? This movie again?
95, I think. Yeah, 95.
So I've been rewatching Gilmore Girls, and it gave me the little snippy snappy banter.
Mm-hmm.
Did remind me of an Amy Sherman Palladino script, and I don't know if that's just the vibe of the 90s now. But that's more in the early 2000s. But I feel like he was trying too hard. I feel like the whole movie was just trying too hard. That's my overall impression of the movie, my first thoughts, if you will.
Yeah, my overall impression of the movie is that it felt like Notting Hill, but in the White House. That was the movie I just kind of kept coming back to. Has anyone seen Notting Hill? Just me. It's a 90s.
Yeah, no, I have.
Oh yeah, Vince, missing out. I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah?
don't know if you are.
It's
You know what? Maybe that enhanced my enjoyment of this film. The fact that I haven't seen Notting Hill or The West Wing, for that matter.
you would love.
I kind of want to watch The West Wing now, though.
I've heard West Wing is delightful, even
Mhm.
though Aaron Sorkin wrote it as
Yeah.
the showrunner. But Notting Hill, I think, that's a good movie. I mean, the concept is very different, right? Because isn't she the celebrity?
Yeah. She's the celebrity and he's the normie, as it were. Yeah.
And they meet on Notting Hill and it's all romantic.
Yeah.
But
What is Notting Hill?
it's a place in London.
Oh,
like a
really?
Borough in London.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that where Peter Pan got pushed down the stroller?
Oh, that's Kensington Gardens.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting my
Side of
getting my English landmarks mixed up.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a thing I usually like this narrative trope of a a normie person falling in love accidentally with the bigger icon, a celebrity, a president, if you will.
Mhm.
But this one just didn't do it for me, and maybe it was because it was so. Okay, let me try to distill my feelings here. I'm not get angered right away. I feel like there was just so much political jargon about these bills getting passed and the whole her being the lobbyist and all that stuff. The jargon was interesting. I was okay, but then it just was so extreme to the romance where the romance just felt so. What is it not fake but
Contrived?
Yeah, just so contrived. And it's not that Michael Douglas and Annette Bening didn't have chemistry. I thought they had chemistry. I thought that was a really good casting. But it just was so for the political stuff to be so specific, the romance just felt so general.
Yeah.
And I was what would actually be interesting is if their love story was as detailed and specific but it isn't. It's just a love at first sight kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm I'm not here for that.
Yeah.
Maybe I think 14-year-old Lisa would have really liked it.
Yeah, I was confused at how quick she was to just give in to him.
You guys don't get it. You're in the presence of the most powerful man in the world in 1995, too. It's before the fall of the empire began. Some would say.
He just wants to be seen as Andy. And as Andy, he's not that interesting.
Yeah, good old pool shooting Andy. You know?
Like even at the beginning, like when she badmouths the bill, right? Like it doesn't even seem like she's like, oh my god, it's the president, right? Like she's not written that way off the jump, and thank goodness. But like it still doesn't make any sense because like she's presented to us as like, you know, a smart woman. She falls for Michael Douglas. I don't know. I thought it was very blasé.
Yeah, I thought there was also
blasé da,
if you will.
Start to use that. I thought there was a weird thing with her character where I felt like she should have been more invested narratively in the environmental bill, because they say right off the top, like, oh, she's not an environmentalist, she's just a really good lawyer that we've hired to do this. And then as the story progresses, I'm thinking like, I don't
wanted her to be like Erin Brockovich.
Yes.
And I wanted her to be like a self-made woman, and like, but like she's so incredibly intelligent, and she like gives the president a little bit of a pushback. She doesn't.
Yeah, I think on paper this character would be a lot harder to appreciate. I do feel like Annette brought enough that I was engaged and not like actively annoyed watching her on screen the whole time. But there were definitely moments where it felt very of its time, very much like a 90s rom-com type of movie, whereby, yeah, of course, they're going to fall in love really quickly, really easily. And then she's just going to take her pants off in front of the president when he's talking about going slow. And there it is.
And there it is.
Here's the thing. This movie's already 2 hours long. I couldn't have taken any more of it. You know, I think they
use that amount of time, though, Vince, to spread out the storytelling. It's how you use the time. I don't know if they use the time that well.
How are you going to fit in all the scenes of Mike Douglas and Martin Sheen just shooting pool, going at it, back and forth?
God,
those really dragged, I gotta say.
Those were so, and like the thing, so I know they're like two very different men, but I kept being like, wow, like Martin Sheen is Charlie Sheen's dad, and Michael Douglas is Kirk Douglas's son, and then I was like, wow, they really look alike. Like I just was getting lost in my own like, whoa, Hollywood royalty. Like
you were imagining Kirk Douglas playing pool with Charlie Sheen?
Yes. Literally.
Great.
That would be amazing.
It would be amazing.
But yeah, I agree with you, Vince. Those dragged so hard.
Yeah.
And I feel like that time wasn't used. I mean, that's by merit of the fact that it dragged, but going back to how these relationships kind of made no sense. There's all this discussion about how he's his best friend. And I got no vibe of that until contextually they seem to establish that they knew each other prior to working together, and like that's how he got the job. But like, why won't you call him Andy?
Yeah. They really should have listened to like the tried and true method of show don't tell. They had to tell us that they're best friends, and it really doesn't feel that way. I agree.
Yeah.
If my best friend was elected to president, I wouldn't stop calling him or her by their first name. I would just be like, I'm still using your first name as opposed to in office, Mr. President.
And not to mention, the timeline's kind of weird here because he waited. Mike Douglas waited 3 years to bring it up. You know, and look, here's the thing: shouldn't primaries be happening right now? Why we're doing 3 years and a few days after the inauguration? They mentioned that at some point, so we're in January of a primary year, I believe. So why do you have only one Republican? The Republicans should be like at each other's throats. I've never seen such. I don't know.
I don't know how the American system works politically. So when you're talking about primaries, I'm like, what's happening? Can you give us like a kindergarten version of how?
Well, you start like over. I guess the election year, you've got your primaries.
Let's bring in our one American
Oh, perfect.
Oh, thank God. We're just floundering.
Yay!
We're,
I'm representing America. I am Miss America.
we're
Thank God we have an American here.
That's great because I don't know either. So I know that first you have to be in the primaries, and I'm horrible at times of year. All I know is every 4th November I need to show up. But other than that, I do know, yes, you have to go to your convention, become the candidate for your party, and then you are the candidate for your party, and therein starts your official running for president. But before that, you are running for the candidacy for president from your party. So you have to win your own party, and then you have to win America.
Wait, what?
So, like, is
No.
there a circumstance where the convention happens and like there's 4 people who want to be the president and they get to the convention not knowing who's going to be the candidate, then they leave and it's like, oh, good, it's me? Or do they just
There-
know before they get
So unfortunately, there's rarely that many options.
Oh.
The last time I remember there being more than 2 in a party that were like really well known and like actually had a chance of getting their party's attention was like when I was in middle school,
Oh,
maybe.
geez.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Other
there,
than
like-
that, it's like 1 or 2 people, and you're lucky if you get 2 as an option.
I remember I have this like really vivid image when Trump was running at the beginning, like the first time
Yeah.
time he
Yeah.
ran, and there was like so many Republicans debating him, and there was like Ben Carlson.
Yes.
Ben-
So
Ben
that's
Carson.
the beginning of everything.
So
But if
Yeah.
you notice this time around, I think there were
There was
maybe
nobody.
3, and
Mhm.
like one of them nobody knew. Like,
Yep.
and nobody was. It's an incumbent Democrat, which everybody assumed was going to run again. Blah blah blah. We all know what happened there. So nobody ever runs against an incumbent. It's defeatist.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So wait.
Um,
when do the primaries happen? January.
So that's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
I would be
I know.
hard pressed to tell you if there's snow on the ground when they happen. I don't know.
Okay. So
I
vote snow.
believe
so.
traditionally they always start with the Iowa caucus, and that's usually in January or
That
late or
sounds right.
December.
Can I
I'm not
shock
sure.
you? Can I
January
shock you all with a
15th.
piece of information? My husband works in DC News. I should know all of
Oh my God.
this, but I do not. I cook for a living. I don't need to know these things. So.
That's so
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, I think it starts with the Iowa caucus, and then you kind of go 1 week at a time. You know, a couple states go every week, and then
certain states are more important than others.
that's right. And then you got
Unfortunately.
Super Tuesday, where 14 states go at the same time.
Yeah.
And don't forget the territories. You know, American Samoa,
Puerto Rico.
of course.
Yeah, which is now technically a state, but still, I don't know, has to pay taxes and doesn't get something. I don't know. It makes me
It's
sad.
a very unfortunate gray
I don't know why
area.
we can't just be a 51st state and stick that star on there.
Yeah,
Just-
just take a
Mhm.
star. But then they'd have to
Do
change
it.
the flag at Disney World, and
That's fine.
too much effort.
They're
Too
all
much
fake
effort.
anyway.
Free Puerto Rico. God damn it.
Anyway, Jeanette, you picked this movie. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with it. What do you
Yeah.
like? How'd you discover it? And why'd you suggest it?
So I found it. I doubt I went to the theater to see it, but I know that we always had it on VHS. And we were watching it all the time. It was one of the movies. If it was on TV, we were watching it. I watched it on my own, just willy nilly as a child and like at this point in my life, I don't like rom-coms, but then we put it on and Aaron's like, well, this is a rom-com. I'm like, yeah, I guess I like this one. Like, I like this one, but it's like a rom-dramedy. But anyway, so like when I first saw it, I don't know what I liked about it. I found it hilarious as a child. I rewatch it and I'm like, you needed to find
Right.
more interesting things. I don't know. I remember being highly entertained, finding it very, very funny. I thought Michael J. Fox was just the end all funniest.
Oh, jeez.
And I think it was because the characters talked a lot like my dad did around the house, like kind of sarcastically about political things. And so I found that easy
Okay.
to digest. the way these people talked was easy to digest to me as a child. I don't know. And then I probably didn't watch it much in my teens. I had only seen it once or twice, like in recent years. And it held up really. Have we gone into the hold up thing on this one?
No, not yet. Let's
No,
go now.
okay, so I won't go there. But like,
No, let's go. Let's go.
it-
Let's ease into it.
on this rewatch, it held up. It was the first time that I'd watched it where anybody looked dated to me.
Oh.
The hair and the clothes and the lack of cell phones and the lack of computers, like lots and lots of computers doing everything. There's still files and stuff. This was the first time rewatching it where I was like, oh, the mid 90s are a long time ago now. Okay. So yeah, and I don't know why I always thought this was 97. It's 95, which in my brain is a big difference. I don't like, that's a huge difference in what was going on in the world to me.
One of those
yeah.
years we had Titanic. The other year we didn't even know what was coming.
Exactly.
Titanic.
I think the other reason I liked it was even as a kid, I knew all these actors. I was like, these people, this was like a star-studded cast, you know? So that was extremely appealing to me.
Nice. This movie made me have a sad realization that I don't like Michael J. Fox outside of Back to the Future. I love him.
Really?
I love him
I
in
like
Back to
them.
the Future. I just don't seemingly want him in anything else. I didn't enjoy his character in this. I found him
Okay.
annoying and not
I
endearing.
wanted more of him on this watch. I was like, wow, this character's not in it even as much as I remember them being in it.
Yeah, just stop talking, Michael J. Fox. Like, you're annoying.
No, you know what? I think you guys know Jimmy Olsen and Superman, the like plucky young photographer that Michael J. Fox is a really good Jimmy Olsen. It's a shame. It's a shame he never got to play one in a Superman. Hey, it's never too late. But I don't know.
I thought that it was, so if everybody remembers Mars Attacks,
Yeah.
I thought that Mars Attacks, which just came out the next year, did basically a shadow, like a Mirrorverse cast of this movie, because the Michael J. Fox character and the Martin Short character in the two movies to me were like incredibly lined up. The house, like the officials, the people around him, I was like, did he just like, I assume that movie was already like almost done and written when this movie came out, but like also it seemed very specific. I was like, it seems like he made like an alternative version of everybody in this movie.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
That's so funny. You know what, Matt? I kind of agree with you about Michael J. Fox in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jeanette.
No,
like-
he could be. I myself am usually called the plucky, annoying one, so I probably gravitate towards people like that and think they're really cool
Because you're like relatable. Yeah.
He just seemed. Maybe it was just because I had a hard time divorcing him from Marty McFly, but he seemed like an 18-year-old who I just questioned, how did you get this job, child? Go back to college.
I think he's supposed to some point in this. I think he's supposed to seem like a kind of a wunderkind, like he's because he's writing a speech in 35 minutes. We're trusting him with this, but like you're right, he seems awfully young.
Yeah.
My favorite moment of his in this movie was when he's like trying to get this guy's vote on the phone, and then he blows up at him and starts calling him names. Like, I'm like, that's me. That would be me in that job all the time. Yeah. No, I think that was one of the scenes as a kid. I was like, this is amazing. It's
hilarious.
Yeah, that was a highlight.
Yeah, no, that was Sorkin. That was Sorkin hitting it like just in the right spot. Like Sorkin doing his thing well. Yeah.
I do love that this whole movie starts with two people walking into a hallway, walking towards us and talking and looking at papers.
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh yeah, that was my opening statement. Well, I was like, it opens almost like what I would write if I were doing a parody of Aaron Sorkin, the president talking about
like the Family Guy Sorkin thing. Yeah, like that's all I can think about. Is I don't know if you've ever seen the Family Guy Sorkin, but it's literally the people are in front of one of those old time like loops, and it's just a hallway, and they're shooting them from below, and then they shoot them from the side, and then they shoot them from below. And they're just talking and like shuffling manila folders. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, that really is the first scene in this movie. Oh my God.
Like I remember a film and TV class in theater school, and our instructor was like, this is what TV is. It's just walking and talking while the camera follows you. So you have to be able to
Or
do
sitting on a couch.
well,
Yeah.
well,
You're sitting on a couch or you're walking and talking.
yeah, because like I guess she was like so like trying to prime us for like an ER drama, like a Grey's Anatomy or like the Residents kind of thing, where it's just like fast paced environments.
Yeah.
And I was like, we don't have the equipment to do that. Umber theater school, but okay. But yeah, like I guess like that was like a 90s thing. You don't.
Well, it's very
that.
Sorkin
It's very
specifically.
Sorkin, the West Wing and stuff. Yeah.
Walk down a hallway and talk.
Yeah.
I thought what I found really interesting was seeing how Sorkin writes like intimate scenes or scenes with people flirting or being romantic, which I can't really think of other examples where he has done that.
Oh, the newsroom is littered with Sorkin romance. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. How do I even phrase this? When you're like analyzing, like if you're attracted to somebody based on like a variety of factors, I can like watching this movie, I'm like, I am not attracted to Sorkin because he doesn't know romance.
His romance is the most like, I don't know if it's geeky or nerdy or like just asexual, like the way that
it might, I mean,
but I love it. It's very coy, and I have to tell you, some of it would work on me.
No, oh god, no, I couldn't for the life of me. I just start laughing. I just start laughing in an intimate moment. I'd be like, this is so ridiculous. This is so juvenile.
The men who are oblivious element always gets me in movies. I love men who are oblivious to romance or oblivious to like how it works, like the cues and stuff. When it's the man being that way, I love it. We don't get that as much. When it's a woman, it's manic pixie dream girl and everybody loves it. But like it's the president and this guy's totally oblivious. What's that? Yeah, exactly. It's never the president.
Yeah.
Like that scene where he's like, pull over, I'm gonna look, it's the flower shop. When I was a kid, that was my Pretty Woman moment in this movie. I was like, yeah, oh my god, he's amazing.
Then he sent her a ham. That was yeah. Yeah, well, I think going back to the question as to how does it hold up, one thing I found interesting was that the two big issues of conversation politically were global warming as well as gun control.
Nothing's changed.
And nothing.
I'm sorry. What? How long's it been?
I like
20 years later.
I guess even just the acknowledgement of global warming in '95, I wasn't really paying attention back then because I was
only 1 year old.
See, exactly. None of us were paying attention. But yeah, global warming.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, to hear global warming being such a prominent part of a film that was made back then, I found that interesting. That I think it held up in that regard. It was also really.
It held up. Also, it once again dates it because you're like, oh, we've been dealing with this issue for how long now? Like, if I watched a movie in the 90s about the 60s, all of those issues had been, we're at least on the road to being, like, people weren't being hosed in the streets anymore. Like, stuff like things had changed. Laws had been passed. Not with the global warming and the gun control, other than, like, whatever Michael Moore got accomplished with ammo. Like,
a thought occurred to me. What if it's possible that there's a lot of climate change and global warming related humor in this film that just goes over the head of the modern viewer because like it's just gotten so much worse that like I don't know, I can't think of any examples right now, but a writer in 1995 might come up with something completely blown out of proportion in their eyes that's come into fruition in the modern day.
Oh, well, one thing she said that I found extremely interesting that I remember hearing when I was a kid, and because I went to Epcot as a child and got very excited about what could be, she says in here, oh, you should come, basically, like I'm paraphrasing, but you should come to our side because in 20 years, your fossil fuel combustible car will be a vintage collectible item. Basically, there will be no more fossil fuel cars in 20 to 25 years because of the wonderful things we are going to do as the Democratic Party. And here we are.
Here we are.
Having an electric car is a novelty and still an inconvenience on the long road. So I thought that was, again, something that dated it. I was like, ooh.
Yep, fair.
True.
I did find though there were things that eerily held up, especially being like watching this the day after the debate, as it were, especially as the movie went on.
Yeah.
And there were just certain quotes I wrote down, things like, well, I paraphrased them, but about how there are Americans who claim to love America but clearly can't stand Americans. I thought that was interesting. And then just the whole notion of one person's campaign being more or less run on policies and the other one's being a smear campaign.
Oh my God.
This other person's like personal life, which really has no bearing on his ability to lead. And then I thought Michael Douglas had an interesting line about the Richard Dreyfuss character, or his party, as it were, about how there are people who are making you afraid of something and telling you who to blame for it.
Yeah.
As opposed to just addressing issues.
Yeah.
The Republican guy, Richard Dreyfuss?
Yeah.
That's Richard Dreyfuss?
And he was still like, they must have done some makeup on him because in 95, he was still looking pretty fine. Like, they must have made him look older.
Yeah.
She looks at me like, was Richard Dreyfuss fine? I'm sorry, I missed that.
I'm sorry. Vince talks about Richard Dreyfuss a lot, and I've never seen this man. So I was like,
yeah.
It went over my head.
I remembered that when I was watching this time too. I'd kind of forgotten that, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's Richard Dreyfuss, man!"
Wow.
Yeah, the star-studdedness in this cast. There's also God, what was he? I was just talking about. Oh, I don't know if anybody here was a Big Bang Theory fan, but the dean of the college, and he's been in a million other things too. But the dean of the college in Big Bang Theory was the like second-hand guy in the Democratic office, the guy that's like answering the phones and stuff.
Oh yeah,
and he's been in a million movies, but that's what like I know him for.
Oh, I loved seeing Frasier's dad in this.
Oh my God, Frasier's dad.
He was Annette Bening's boss.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And he is like questioning her. Did you sleep with him? Did you sleep with him?
Yeah.
It's like I feel like he's just like cast in like these nosy homebody kind of characters.
So kind of jumping off of that, what does everyone feel on the role of the personal life of a political figure should play in assessing their ability to lead? Is one of the questions I wrote down, because that was kind of what I think. If we're looking at this movie as something examining the presidency specifically, I think that's one of the core things that's looking at is like you have this person who's up for re-election and then like all hell breaks loose because he gets a girlfriend, as it were. And then it's like, is that relevant? Is it not relevant? And I also like to equate it to, again, the royal family, who I find fascinating, even though I don't understand them, but comparing two similar but very different positions of power, as it were. I think probably because it's a monarchy and that is its own thing, but really the vibe that I've gotten watching the Netflix documentaries and The Queen and The Crown is that the people who are in the firm, as it were, don't really have the luxury of a personal life, as it were. Like they're just kind of born into this position where they, or especially Queen Elizabeth, when she was around, have to be very stone-faced and stoic and not really give any insight into what's going on in their day-to-day lives. But then you have something like the presidency, which is just by its nature, it can be anybody. And more or less, they have some form of, history, personal life, family-related things going on. And this is a unique case since he is presented as a widower. So it is an interesting question, like, is the president able to date? But regardless of that, how important or not important do we think knowing about the personal life behind the politics is in the presidential capacity? Should it play a difference or play a role in people's decision making for voting time? Or
I this is not answering your question, Matt, but I will. But I just think that there needs to be more single people in the president role. there hasn't been a lot. Like the last, how many presidents have we had? In
Well,
the
I think
last 10 years.
Everyone in our lifetime.
other than Trump, who he himself was the like, there
He was married.
was the person leaving the marriages and entering marriages, where Kamala is, if she were to be elected, is the stepmother into a family. So you get what I'm saying? Like, she didn't come from. So she is, but it would be the first person in this type of circumstance to be in the office.
Right.
So we are moving towards more, to your point.
Yeah. I find it very fascinating that the pattern is like the president being elected into office has always been a married man.
Yeah.
To this point, hopefully. And I'm just like, well, why can't a single person be?
Well, there were a few, but like really early on, like 18.
Yeah.
Whereby well, not to give away what the game is, but I was looking into the first ladies, and some of them, like there are a few first ladies as designated in history who weren't the wives, but were just significant women, like the daughter or like daughter-in-law, or like there's only a few cases of that, but it has.
And I think it's because they were widowers, right? I don't think any of them were unmarried.
They weren't like a single man coming in.
Yeah.
I think there was one single man. I'll try to find it. Hold on.
The Bachelor president.
Was it Thomas Jefferson?
I would love a bachelor president.
I think it's important for world leaders to have avenues to vent their sexual frustrations. Because otherwise, you could have World War III on the drop of a dime.
Well, so let's point something out. We just said it's all married men. Okay, that's how many married men in history? That's 40-something married men in history, right? I'm just saying, everybody wanted to get on Clinton and honestly Trump, whatever. Yes, we should. But the likelihood that none of those other men adulterized is extremely low.
Philandered.
JFK.
Yeah. So, exactly. And I'm like, well, and you see where Norma Jean ended up. So, I mean, and that's how it was handled then. I'm just saying, like, I feel that their personal life should be not the dirty behind closed. I don't want to know what kind of sex they're having or anything. Like, that's bizarre. I want to know that about.
I do.
I mean, I want to know, but I don't think it's necessary for me as an American citizen to have that information. But I do think that we should know.
History will tell.
I do think we should know about their family life, how many times they've been married, what if they have any offenses, whatever like that, because your character is part of becoming president. That's part of. However, I think that with that, people need to realize what plays into someone being a good decision maker and what doesn't. If someone cheats, you have to look at the ratio of like how many people cheat in general in the human population.
Well, that's just because monogamy doesn't normally work.
So there's that. But if you're going to so let's the same thing. If you're going to cancel an artist, do you cancel the art, right? If you are canceling an action, if you're saying this is so bad we can't ever have someone, what else are you taking out of your life based on adulterers? Like, oh, I don't listen to that music because that person cheated on so and so. Like, where do you stop taking that out? Now, if someone extorted someone in their life, if someone had two families, like that's different. That's not an affair. That's I have two families. Like stuff like that should then be taken into account. But I think people need to get better with their barometer of like what affects your decision.
It's true. Look at Robert Wagner. I can't enjoy a Robert Wagner movie anymore.
Because you
can't watch Austin Powers?
But Christopher Walken, however, I can, even though he was clearly in on it. So what's the difference? I don't get it.
Oh, I get, okay. With what's her face?
Natalie
Wood.
Natalie Portman, yeah.
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman is alive and well.
Thank God.
I don't know. Like I could care less about like the very like minutia of a person's life that I'm voting into office. I mean, I don't normally like if we look at like Trudeau, right?
I was
Like
just about to say he has his own thing,
he
right?
has his own shit, right? Like he's done blackface and like I don't
Yeah.
trust the person who's ever done blackface in their life.
So that's what I was gonna ask. I was like, I don't want to overstep, but like he has that instance. How much is that taken into consideration? I look at when did it happen?
Yeah.
Was he a drunk college kid? This probably nothing else crossed his mind. Like, I don't know. You know, I
Well,
have to
that's the
give some
thing.
people the benefit of the doubt. But if you did it when you were 30, maybe no, you're probably not a good person.
And like that's the thing, like I have voted for Justin Trudeau in the past because there is no other candidates, and retrospectively maybe I should have just abstained my vote or done something else. I don't know, but like I don't know. I think like us humans are very interested in like the gossip life
Yeah.
of these public figures, and although they are not celebrities, they are not movie stars or famous artists, they're still a public figure, and so I think we crave those like narratives
Mhm.
and like the
Well,
juicy gossip.
they're
So-
not celebrities until they are.
until they do
Or
like covers of
Until
Vogue.
we vote one into office.
Exactly.
Willingly.
Exactly. And so there's like a part of me that's like, well, I think this is the whole like it's the star it's a star method of like, okay, you don't really care about an actor until they like make a big mega movie hit, and then all of a sudden you have like the gossip mill running their rag stories, you know? So like I don't know. I think it does play a factor when like you're going to the polls, right? So like you're at the ballot box, but I think for me I'm like I think there's so many other factors that you need to consider before, you know, voting for a person just based on their personal life. I would hope that the president, the person who's running my country is having a happy, romantic and a sexual fulfilling life. If that's what they want.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're married. You know?
I also think we could benefit from knowing more about our presidents. Like, I would have loved to know that George W. Bush painted and liked painting while he was screwing my city over. It might have made me a little bit softer on him. Like, I would like to know someone as a human being so that maybe when I get angry at them, I can like see them as a full person. I think it would help me to be less angry sometimes.
But they're still war criminals at the end of the day, right? So
hell yeah.
You can't be in that office and not be, because you have to make decisions that kill people.
I mean, that is what I appreciated.
Like the Libyan janitor.
I appreciated that they made me feel sympathetic for the war crimes of the United States.
They brushed it off pretty quickly, but it was worth mentioning.
It interrupted his date.
That was wild, guys. That was a wild scene.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's true, you know. That scene is intense. That's the scene. That's one of like 2 or 3 scenes to me that make it not a comedy, just right out of rom-com. There are scenes in this that are like, those aren't in comedies, really. Like, it goes into a different realm. That and the scene with Martin Sheen around the pool table, where they argue. I'm like, it takes you out of romance and comedy, and it is just drama right then.
Yeah. I had things I was going to say, but it was so interesting listening. Well, this is kind of backtracking a little bit, but something that I find interesting about the presidency is that their like family values seems to just be so ingrained in the position where like it's just almost a part of the job. Specifically, I guess with the partner or the first lady, like I find that role really interesting in theory, just because anyone who comes into it at this point in time, there's certain things that I think were traditions that have become almost part of the job description, like whoever's the first lady or the first partner, maybe first gentleman, fingers crossed. Like it's to them to decorate for Christmas, for example. And then that just becomes a thing that everyone's excited about. Like, how is such and such going to decorate this year for Christmas? And then the past 20-ish years, I think they've all had some kind of platform, as it were. I think that started with Nancy Reagan.
I want to say
Eleanor.
her or Carter.
What about Eleanor Roosevelt?
What was Eleanor
first?
What she was like a heavy hitter, wasn't she? Wasn't she the first lady to address Congress or something?
Maybe.
Wasn't she?
I believe so. Rumor has it, she might have had something going on with her cousin too.
Hello.
But that's neither here nor there. I think after FDR died, it was a big deal that Eleanor addressed Congress.
No, but like I think she had a platform. I think she was the first lady that had a platform. The first lady that had a platform. I don't know. But okay, hold on. I had a thought and now it has disappeared.
Oh, I was gonna say Lisa's point about why are there not more single people, and then you brought up family values. A lot of people associate, especially with Christian backgrounds, associate marriage and being married with being a responsible adult, and they don't trust like grown people who choose not to be in marriages or in relationships. It is like associated with like family equals doing right and good. Like it, know.
I think I would trust a single person over a married person. Like just in general. Because they're choosing.
Well, thanks, Lisa.
Sorry. I don't trust myself because I'm in a really long-term relationship, I guess.
What?
Why?
Oh no.
Why on earth?
What?
I don't know.
Well, we know Lisa trusts me the most on this call.
Yeah,
I guess so.
I'll be a good president for you, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. I don't know. I mean, like, if a person is choosing not to get married, I think like that, I'm sure they are having like a sound reason. And like, if they're going through that process in their head, they're making a mature decision.
Gandhi. What about Gandhi?
Or conversely, there's so much of a butthead that nobody will be with them.
Yeah.
You got your Dalai Lama?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, then like there's religious pursuits.
Yeah, that's like for a religious reason.
He was also the head of state, wasn't he, before he got deposed?
I feel like these presidential movies are going to make me lean more into anarchy at the end of this.
Oh, good. Well, Civil War is our last movie.
Yeah, like okay, I have a friend who is like they just say that they're an anarchist, and I never really fully understood that until I've done some work. And now I'm watching these movies, and I'm like, you know what? Anarchy is the way to go, guys.
Let me just tell you, being an anarchist is about as successful as being a communist. On paper, it looks real good, but it almost never is true in real life.
I think that this podcast is going to end up on a list now for fomenting discord.
Oh no! I'm still a filthy socialist. Okay, I'm still a filthy socialist.
I'll group this with Titus. It's fine.
Free Titus.
Free Titus.
Yeah, man.
Free Titus.
Fantastic episode.
I do have quite the library of Forbidden Teacup for One episodes by this point.
Oh, you should sell DVDs, man.
How are they going to block Titus? Isn't Titus the episode with I Am Groot?
That's yeah.
Darn it! What the heck?
That's largely why.
Are you able to share the private link?
Stop.
I can share the private link.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
For all of us to watch and enjoy, but yeah,
that's fine.
I'm sorry. Diving into my notes. This actually kind of relates to the Justin Trudeau blackface Aladdin Halloween costume thing. But the plot point in this, when they discovered that, what's her name? What's Annette Banks' fake name? Sydney? That Sydney burnt the flag.
Oh yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah. Or I guess she didn't actually burn it. She was present while a flag was being
Yeah,
burnt. But
she was at
yeah.
a protest.
how did we feel about that? Just kind of as an idea, both how it's presented in the film as well as just in general. Like, is there something to be said for being held accountable for things that happened? Well, in this case, it's 13 years prior, before he was president, before she was, etc. Yeah.
Like
She was
this.
also the one not to do it. She was just in the area.
Also,
Yeah,
it's very much not against the law. I mean, well, defacing the flag technically is, but when it's part of a I don't know, there's like weird laws about it. Like protest isn't against the law. And I think if it's not like an official American flag, like if it's just the effigy, you can. I don't know.
I believe in the military, the legal way, the suggested way to dispose of an American flag is by burning it, like as part of a ceremony. But
yeah,
like,
it's always been a time-honored thing, though, for people to
Mhm.
be able to do that.
yeah, I support flag burning. You know, but I'm
Also,
gonna
she
say
was
it.
fighting apartheid, which was a
Right.
huge thing. And he does point out, he goes, she was fighting against a thing that then everybody said was bad, and now it doesn't go on
Mhm.
anymore. So, like,
This type of mudslinging, it pops up in every election cycle. Look what happened with Bernie. Didn't they dug up some old VHS footage of Bernie like at like he was drinking with a bunch of Russian diplomats in the 90s, and they weren't wearing shirts. It was like a sweat lodge or something. But like they were in a sauna, I should say. And like that's the best they could get on him. But if you go back to like 1972, George McGovern runs for president, picks as his vice president Alexander Eagleton, I think his name was. What he didn't know was this guy had underwent electroshock therapy as part of like mental health treatment like a few years prior. And when the Republicans dug that up, that sank the ship because there was so much like mental health treatment was
Stigma,
stigmatized. Yeah, especially shock therapy. Everyone like had read Cuckoo's Nest and they thought it was like that.
yeah. Well, and then I'm watching this and I'm going, oh man, what I wouldn't give for a few Americans who looked a little bit hard at who the president's dating.
Yeah.
Mm.
What I wouldn't, that's the only thing that's changed, unfortunately. Nobody gives a flying flip anymore. They should care more about the president's private life.
but
I'm like, nobody seems to
isn't that
care that. Yeah, I'm just like, nobody seems to care how many times he's been married, who he's married to, what he says about other women, what he does with other women. Like, there is a point where, yes, I almost don't care if a president cheats. Of course, obviously, or like a celebrity or whatever, like that is their own private life. But when you make it's a habitual thing, like shows a different thing about your character than just having an affair. Like habitually doing it and going in and out of marriages says something entirely different about you.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole discourse around Trump was like wild. Like it didn't seem like anyone cared that he was who he is.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it just says that like no, this is not to offend you, Jeanette, as you, but like it just goes to show that like Americans will have like such a low standard for a leader.
Yeah.
Like what? Like,
well, I love that they ignore all of that, yet somehow like sex and sexual things are still so stigmatized. It's like,
yeah.
It's also weird just seeing the way people embrace or turn a blind eye to all the Trump related things. When you think back to Clinton and the Monica Lewinsky scandal, as it were, basically breaking the country.
Yeah.
I know. And like Monica Lewinsky really took one for the team. Like, my God, I
heard she took a few for the team.
I just think
I gotta say though, I mean, do you blame her? I don't know.
I don't blame her. You know what? Like, I hope that she like enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't like. I hope it was consensual.
Did you watch the very accurate Clive Owen, Ryan Murphy?
Oh my God,
series?
no.
Was that with Beanie Feldstein as Monica Lewinsky?
Yeah.
Is it good? Should we watch it?
It's good. Clive Owen as Bill Clinton is like Tom Hanks as Walt Disney. I don't know who made that freaking
So
decision.
wild.
Okay.
I don't know.
Was
I
making
don't know.
That is weird.
Oh my
But
god.
other than that, yes, it's very good. Who is it that plays freaking Janet Reno? Oh, is it Sarah Paulson? Maybe it is.
Probably. It's
sounds
rhyme.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very good. But yeah, it's if you want to go down that road.
Would you all consider, so thinking of like the Me Too movement, would you say Monica Lewinsky was like at the beginning of the Me Too movement?
That was well before the Me Too.
Yeah, I
It was
think
something.
there's like a
It
big
was
gap.
something that pissed women off enough to then, in a few years, do that. I think.
Yeah.
I think because girls, like when I was a girl, I saw that and how people were treated in the media for something like
Yeah.
that, and not men. Really, I mean, like they went for him as a president, but she was just torn down as a person.
I know.
You know. And so, like, then you grow up and you see more things like that, and you go, "Oh, okay, here we are."
We're not going to end up like Monica Lewinsky.
Just and and speaking up in general, like, hey, this
Isn't that okay?
this was not a victimless crime.
Yeah.
Like it's not a crime in general, I guess technically, but I mean,
Like, it
adultery
really
is
shouldn't
illegal in
have
some
happened,
states,
like-
but I don't know.
Like what were we talking about? What was the question?
What was the?
I think adultery should be legal.
Blackface. How?
Adultering should be legal?
Yeah, it should be legal for sure.
Oh my god.
Well, what? You're gonna throw people in jail for adultering?
No, I want them to look in the freaking mirror and be like, I am not a monogamous person. I need to be in a relationship where polyamory is okay. That's what I
Need
want.
the language.
to do.
They need the language.
They should be thrown into polyamorous conversion therapy.
Yes, I want them to be polyamorously
Or
converted.
just be single.
Or yeah,
Like we were
Yeah.
saying.
dates. Yeah, single and dates. Yeah. We were talking about Justin Trudeau and Black.
Burning flags and Justin Trudeau and the relevance of past judgments in error.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
not even judgments in error, I guess, things that can be dug up as and presented as skeletons in the closet. Because there is admittedly a difference between Justin and fictional Annette Bening in this movie.
Well, I think they mentioned this like in The Crown when like Prince Philip's history is dug up because like his father or grandfather was a Nazi, or I think it was his father, or like he was like a Nazi sympathizer. Like I feel like there's like a spectrum of like things that are dug up in the past, like one's own person and also one's family, where I'm like, okay, I don't care if they were a drama teacher, like that earns my vote. But like if they were part of the, like a really awful group like the KKK, like no, I would want to know.
Yeah.
And I want to make that part of my informed decision.
Mhm.
But like I think there's a spectrum of things.
Yeah.
With Justin Trudeau and his blackface choices. Oh my god. I don't know. Like I don't even know how like that was all resolved in the Canadian media.
I think he just apologized.
Was there an
we-
extent of him being like, "Oh, I was drunk at a party"?
No, I think he did take accountability for it. I just can't recall how or what he did.
Halloween brings out a lot of problems. Like people really aren't trying to be mean. They just don't know that it's not nice.
It's
Yeah.
true.
And
It's-
so like that's something to be considered too, the maliciousness of someone's intent. I think
Right.
if you're looking at someone's past behaviors, the first thing you have to ask is why did they do it? And if they can tell you, then that's great.
This is
you know?
true. I mean, if anyone is in the Ontario region and wants to see some good theater, folks should go check out Salesman in China at the Stratford
Yeah, at
Festival.
the end of the month.
Oh my god, go see it. I'm going to talk about something that's not a spoiler in the show,
Okay.
but like is like a thing in the culture of the show. Like, so Arthur Miller brings Death of a Salesman to China. Like this actually happened, and like they produced it. And when they were like doing the preliminary design for the American family, like Arthur Miller was like, please just like be a Chinese American family. Like, please don't try to like act white, essentially. And then the designers didn't really understand that. So they just like put like prosthetic noses and chins and like white faced the Chinese actors. And Arthur Miller was like so offended. He was relating it back to like blackface, right? Or
Do I get to see this happen on stage?
Yes,
Do they put
you'll see
prosthetics
it.
on the actors?
yeah, and it's so like it's so apparent. You could see it from the back row. It's hilarious.
That's where I'm sitting. So good.
But like, but what like it's so dependent on the cultures, right? Because like the Chinese culture wanted to appreciate the American culture, and so
Yeah.
that's why you see a lot of like Chinese like reality TV shows that like they try to impersonate people. They are actually doing blackface sometimes because they're like trying to respect the like, original creator or something.
I find in more homogenous cultures, it's more okay to do things like cultural appropriation and coloring your skin a different, because it's quite obvious that you are just trying to
replicate
pantomime or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you are in a diverse culture, the more diverse your culture is, the more not okay that is. Well, I find that they kind of go hand in hand. Like in Australia and in is it Sweden, one of the Scandinavian countries, they are currently trying to kind of bring down the amount of people that are still using blackface in comedy. Just as funny, because it was still fine. It was accepted there because it was a more homogenous white culture.
Yeah.
But it is not now. So that form of funny is not funny anymore. There's a famous clip of the Spice Girls on a show in one of those countries that I was just talking about, but with something like this, where one of the acts that was on before them did blackface. And Scary Spice says something about it, and they're like, well, it's just comedy. It's just a joke. And she's like, well, I don't find it very funny. And all of them stood up for her and explained why they felt that way. But in a more homogenous culture, it's harder for them. They're like, well, obviously, everybody here is this. We're just showing you this. We're trying to act, you know?
Yeah. So... yeah, I don't know why we started talking about this, but anyway, go see Salesman in China at Stratford. It's amazing.
Yeah, I guess more or less the question was, do we cancel people or not?
I think I don't know. Cancel culture is boring. Like, I think having discussions with people and like having the person come to owning their mistakes and learning and growing is much more beneficial to our society anyway. But
I think someone's response when you ask them about the behavior is far more important than the original behavior, unless it hurts somebody directly.
Yeah.
I think that what they say when confronted, and if they change their mind or if they apologize, like all of those things are to me more important than the fact that they screwed up in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think intent does matter. I know, like, I mean, like, impact is usually held higher than intent, but I think it needs to be considered when it is, you know, being questioned.
Yeah. I think the problem with this in the presidency is that two things. Some American people don't make a decision till the very end, and it's just a vomiting of information that they look for. And they're just listening to this.
Bites,
the other thing is people who are just quick to judge people. Like they themselves in their everyday life with regular people are just like people that they could even that they have the chance to get to know, just make decisions based on however they felt on whatever information they had. They didn't try to get to know anybody. So if someone like the president, how are they going to get to know them other than the information out there? And that's too hard. They're going to make a decision based on what they hear or what the soundbite or the video clip or the one piece of information. They're not going to do what did they say after that? Did they, they're not going to go down that road. Yeah. So I think people just need to have more time for knowing the presidential candidates, regardless of what they've done in their past.
It's true.
I also think that, you know, the canceled celebrities who, like, you know, you clearly they're sorry and there's a pathway to redemption. They should be able to redeem themselves through celebrity boxing, which has become very popular. Yes. You know, so like you have a
real life celebrity deathmatch.
Yeah,
kind of. And the celebrity who gets canceled has to find a retired boxer or mixed martial artist, and then you broadcast the fight, and then win or lose, they're back.
I like it. I
Yeah.
have been upset that Celebrity Deathmatch doesn't exist since Taylor Swift has become famous.
my
That is
God.
a loss that I'll never get over.
Hey, it's always time for a reboot. It's always time. For a reboot.
Yeah.
Whew. Anyway, let's move on to the game. It's game
Game
time,
time.
everybody.
Oh my God, so exciting.
Yes. Okay. So tonight's game, it might be easy, it might be hard. I don't know how much political knowledge everybody has. So
Is it
we'll
pen
find
and
out.
paper?
Vince
No, no,
is going
it's
to
gonna
win this. Vince,
What?
start out.
I didn't hear that. Everyone's talking.
Vince is going to win this.
Is
But
he?
what about? I don't know. That's a dubious allegation. But what did you say about a pen and a paper?
No, we don't need pen and paper.
No
Tonight
pen
is
and
one
paper.
of
I was
those like there is only 1 point per question up for grabs. Whoever blurts out the answer first gets the point.
Ew.
Hey,
There we go. And it's pretty easy. Like I implied, tonight is all about the first ladies of American history. Yeah, the ones who are decorating the White House for Christmas and then bringing in their campaigns about either don't do drugs or get moving or anti-cyberbullying. I still think it's really funny that Melania's thing was anti-cyberbullying.
The best.
Her husband.
The best.
The best. I
The
forgot.
best.
The best. Anyway, how tonight's going to work is I am going to name a president. The first person to shout out or speak the name of that respective president's first lady will get the point.
Oh, good Lord.
I'm not going to get this. This is
No.
I pick presidents who have fairly famous first ladies.
Okay.
We're just going to shout it out.
Yeah, just shout it out. Shout
Okay.
it out. Or at the very least, if you don't know it, when I give you the answer, these should all be answers that you're like, oh, that was in the back of my mind somewhere.
Okay.
Okay.
hang on. If there's a first lady who changed her last name over the course of the lifetime, can I say the changed last name?
Yes, you can.
That's
Okay,
what I
cool.
was going to ask too. I was going to actually say something if somebody said that one. I was going to go, no.
Mhm.
It's this.
As long as I know that you know who it is, that's the main thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Please tell me the name of the first lady of George Washington.
Martha.
Betsy Ross.
Yeah.
I said Betsy Ross.
Flag.
Martha.
Wait, you have to say the full name or just the first name?
Whatever comes out of your
I
mouth.
said the full name.
I heard a Marth out of Vince before anything else. I heard a Marth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I slapped an A on the end of there too.
Yeah. Well, I heard Marth, and then I heard Betsy, and then I heard
Okay.
before the cacophony, I heard a Marth. So we can go back and replay after the fact. But here we go. So Vince has the precious point for the Martha round. Okay.
I can't believe I said Betsy.
Next. I guess I'm going chronologically. That might even
It's possible that George Washington slept with Betsy Ross over the course of his lifetime.
on top of the flag,
Possibly.
Underneath the flag.
underneath the flag.
That's hot.
Yeah, wrapped in the flag. Or maybe that's what she used the rough drafts for.
I think a more interesting game would be: did the president was it
Was he
able to make his first lady come? That's what I
welcome everyone to chime in on their thoughts. I don't know how we can award points. Like we can't know.
Yeah, we
can
can't know. Most of these guys are dead now.
That's true.
I
Do you
think
George
George.
and Martha?
I think George knew how to
I think
make
so.
Martha come. Yeah,
Plus, I mean, like George, he was a warrior.
yeah.
You know, he came from what did Hamilton?
Might have like a war dick, you know, like, like like the traumatized dick, like you can't get it up. No,
So Dane described
I just imagined it with a little piss helmet on. That's all.
Washington.
teeth though. I don't get the teeth joke. Did he not have teeth?
He had
Yeah.
good teeth.
He had wooden chompers.
Oh.
Not really, but that's the long running myth.
Okay. Next, our next president. Who was the first lady of Abraham Lincoln?
Mary Todd Lincoln.
That's the one. Now, do we think Abe made Mary? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know. There's a lot of rumors that he was gay, so
Doesn't mean he
He
still
was
couldn't feel for it, no?
bisexual. Maybe he was bisexual.
Obvious bisexual.
I don't know. I trust a man in a top hat.
It's the hat, I was going to say. Yeah.
And-
You trust a man in a top hat?
Yeah, I trust.
Maybe back then. I don't trust a man in a top hat now.
Listen. He
Oh,
also had
hang
a
on.
neck beard. He had a neck beard. Usually, men with neck beards, they will surprise you.
You
Now,
got
I
some
understand-
really weird standards
I understand.
for who to trust and who not to trust.
You know, Abraham Lincoln wore a top hat, but his boyfriend wore a bottom hat.
That's
Okay,
funny.
moving on. Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Eleanor.
Yes. Good job, Lisa. All right. And what do we think about Frankie and Ellie?
I don't think he did. I think that's why she was sleeping with her
Wasn't
cousin.
he in a wheelchair?
Well, not until he was like 30, though.
Oh.
One thing I learned from Theory of Everything is that it's a different system. So,
Yeah,
Oh.
Oh,
I think he could
Okay.
still do it.
yeah,
I don't think he was good at it.
it was his mind.
It was just
With his mind.
with his mind.
Next, JFK.
Jackie
no.
Onassis.
Ooh, I think I heard it from Lisa first.
Oh, you
Mm.
turd monkey.
Yeah. I heard yeah.
I don't think JFK made Jackie come.
What?
No,
I think he made Marilyn come.
He had a
I
bad
think he
back.
made
He
a
couldn't
lot
do
of
it.
people.
not Marilyn. Marilyn could
I
and
think-
did do better.
I think
I
the
think he made
idea of
multiple
JFK.
Yeah. I mean, and wasn't Marilyn with Arthur Miller?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miller
like-
could make a woman come.
oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. After Arthur Miller, like it's all downhill from there.
The dance school guy?
No, the
Oh.
playwright.
Salesman in China.
The playwrights. Death of a
Playwright.
Salesman.
Oh, I thought it was the dance guy.
No. His dance guy. Bob Fosse?
No, there is
No, he runs a
there is an
dance
Arthur
school.
Miller dance school.
Oh.
Different Arthur Miller though.
Corky
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Ballast.
That's a
What?
gangster, isn't it?
No.
Oh. Anyway, next, Richard Nixon.
I don't know.
Oh shit.
Pamela
He
Nixon.
definitely did not make any woman come in his life.
No.
Gertrude. He seems like he would date a
I
Gertrude.
said Pam. I don't know why Pamela sounded right to
He
me.
seems like a single man in my mind. I can't see any woman marrying him.
He
Well-
also doesn't look anything like John Cusack.
Oh my god, what a casting choice!
I still liked Cusack as Nixon. Well, her name was Thelma Pat, so Pamela is close. I'll give Jeanette a point for that.
I got a point for Pamela, even though her name is Thelma
Thelma,
Pat.
Pamela.
with a
Thelma
Pat.
Pat.
So if
It's
you
an
trans-
anagram.
Exactly. Hey, my mom knew. Yes.
wow,
Yeah, Kristen gets it. She doesn't know his wife, but he did not.
Yeah, correct.
Arthur Miller just made them feel guilty.
Oh my god, that's so tragic, but probably, yeah. Playwrights will do that.
It's true. Right. Gerald Ford.
oh god,
Geraldine,
another one that I thought was just
Gerald
a single
Ford?
guy.
Betsy Ford,
You're very close.
Betty.
Elizabeth.
Yes, Betty.
Ah, fuck.
There you go. We made it an hour and 18 minutes.
Sorry.
Granted, we said
Mm.
lots of other stuff too.
I know. I feel like
Yeah.
I've sworn earlier. I'm so sorry.
For some reason, cum seems worse than fuck.
No one
Yeah, except
doesn't.
no, but to the YouTube robots, they don't. I feel like the YouTube robots don't know the difference between come and come, like come here versus come here. Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
Oh, Jeanette.
Next, Ronald Reagan.
Nancy.
Nancy Reagan.
That was tough. Feel like that's a tie between Vince and Lisa. I heard unison.
A tie. It could be a three-way tie, but it would have zeroed me out.
It sounded like a tie between Lisa and Jeanette, and I came in first. That's what
You're right. We'll do that. There we
No,
go.
no.
No, I said
How'd
what I
you
said.
just weasel your way into that?
You dummy little weasel.
Okay,
I love
next.
you.
it's political acumen.
Now, I urge you to listen because there will be a dramatic pause, and this dramatic pause will affect the answer. George Bush Jr.
Laura
Man,
Bush.
Yes, Laura. There we go.
I never liked Laura.
Which is funny because I can't remember senior's wives' name.
Barbara
to
Bush.
save my life. Oh yeah.
Babs.
Barbara. Bam.
Oh, yeah. All right. Oh, I thought I was going chronologically. Apparently, I'm not. Lyndon B. Johnson.
Betsy Johnson.
Lady Bird Johnson.
Yes, Lady
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Her actual name?
I
That-
couldn't remember.
Her
It
nickname.
is. I couldn't
Claudia.
remember if it was his nickname or her name.
That's the name
Well-
of the dog on King of the Hill.
Yeah,
That's why they named her
Wikipedia
Lady
Bird.
page
What's her
is
real name?
Lady Bird Johnson.
Yeah.
Like it's
What's her
official
real
now.
name?
It's Lady Bird, I
Claudia.
thought.
Yeah, Claudia Lady Bird Johnson.
Oh, Claudia.
Yeah, Claudia.
Hmm.
Yeah, the same. So Lady Bird is to her what Jackie is to Jackie O, even though cooler. And finally, Joe Biden.
Jill Biden.
I was hoping for Dr. Jill, but
Aww.
yes. Well, that sounded like a tie, but I'll give it to Jeanette. There we go.
How
All right.
did you not do Bill?
Because that was too easy.
Hillary! It's Hillary!
Yeah.
H-Dog.
Hillary was just like I didn't do
Or
Obama.
Barack.
Or Barack, I know.
That was too easy.
What about Trump? He has
That
so
was
many
also too
wives.
easy.
Well, who are you gonna name?
What's that?
I guess it's
Name them
Melania.
all.
Name all of Trump's wives.
The many,
That would've been
you
cool.
know.
Oh,
there's
that's
gonna-
the bonus points. Ivana, and Melania, and there was one before Ivana, and I don't remember her name.
What? Oh,
Lady Bird.
Lady Bird. So these are
Lady
the
Bird
point
Trump.
standings. Vince and Jeanette are tied with 4, and Lisa has 3. How many points do we want to wager for our
All of
answer
them.
question?
All of
Cool.
I'm gonna bet it all. Come on, Jeanette. You have to win for America.
Remember,
Don't let a filthy Canadian win.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. For this one, I do encourage you to write it down so everyone has a fair
Okay.
shot at getting this answer. Okay. This might be too hard.
Too
So maybe
hard.
we won't have a winner.
No such thing as too
Yeah,
hard.
You're right.
That's
So
that's
everyone
what
write it
Lady
right down
Bird
their
Johnson
answer.
said.
Mhm.
So everyone write it right down their answer. Here we
Yeah.
go. Okay. If this election goes the way I'm hoping it goes, we will have our first gentleman, our first gentleman. What
Oh,
is his name?
I don't know.
The first step gentleman.
First step, yes, the first step gentleman.
I
And
actually
I
don't.
only need his first name. If you know his last name too, then I'll count that. But that might be a little too much. So if you could just give me the name of the potential first gentleman. Mhm. All right, let's start with Lisa.
Norman.
Norman, okay. Jeanette. Doug, okay.
Doug?
Oh,
Vince.
I got Bob Harris. Good old Bob Harris.
It is in fact Doug. It's
Oh.
Doug. I don't know how to say his last name. Emhoff.
And
Yeah, I think it's Imhoff. I
Jeanette.
almost
you
put
won.
Tim Walls, but that's her running mate.
Yep.
Well
Better than
done.
putting
Good
JD
job,
Vance.
Jeanette.
Good job,
Mhm.
Jeanette.
Oh, he's got the same birthday as my dad.
What did you
Nice.
say?
October 13th. I just looked it up to make sure after I wrote it down, just to be fair.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to see if I'm right that Tim Walls is the running mate and Doug's the husband. I'm like,
So wait, who has the same birthday as your dad, Doug or Tim?
Doug. Doug has the same birthday.
And
as my dad.
he might be America's dad soon.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Well, and you know, with the whole decorating the White House for Christmas, not that I don't think he's capable of it because he's a man, but he does have the 2
I do.
grown children who will most likely play a large role in it. I would
Well,
say.
actually, that got on my radar because in an interview, someone asked him, "What are you going to do if you have to decorate?" And he was really into it. That made me love him. He was
Yeah.
like,
Aw.
"Oh, I love Christmas. I've been decorating for Christmas for years, and like I would do this. It would be very traditional. I can't remember what he said, but I liked it. I was
Oh, not the desert sticks
not the desert
spray
stick.
painted
Remember
silver
what
with
it was.
demon red lights on them, like Melania.
That was my favorite though. retrospectively, just for the
I was
lulz.
like, oh my gosh, she looks like she's decorating for like the section of Pottery Barn where they're like, this is the super modern section. It's like just sticks.
Oh, I always feel a little bit bad making fun of Melania, but not in this case because she ruined Christmas. But I'm in.
Melania ruins Christmas. What a great movie idea.
Exactly. All right, friends, here we are. So this is, that is The American President. So closing thoughts, and what I had a closing question. So yeah. As part of everyone's closing statement for this specific marathon, I am curious if you could please work into your closing thoughts. How do you think this, or what do you think this movie has to say about the institution of the presidency?
Okay.
Yes. There we go. So let's start with Jeanette.
So closing thoughts for this movie. To me, it's a feel good movie. It's just an easy watch. It's fun. I was very happy to watch it again. This particular movie, I would say that what it says about the presidency is that we all need to be willing to make more compromises when picking our president. Like, we need to realize, like he says many times, you can't have everything. Like, you need to come meet in the middle on some things to get things achieved. Even though in the end it's like a happy storybook, whatever, I'm just going to do whatever I want. The truth of the matter is what he says the whole movie. So I think that this particular movie shows us that things can be more effective if we can meet in the middle on things, and maybe have a little bit more grace for our president, which I know is hard to say, but it is one of those moments where you have to be like, no matter who the other person is, I'm giving them some grace.
Well said. Lisa?
That was so eloquent.
That was.
And I have nothing to follow up with. I want more presidents who are single people. That's it. That's what I think the future of the presidency should go forth with. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Vince?
I like the movie. There were feel good concepts in this movie that I very much enjoyed, and I thought Michael J. Fox, was very MJFX-esque, if you will, very Jimmy Olsen-esque. As I'm going to repeat the Jimmy Olsen thing. I really think he would have been good. In terms of what does this film say about the highest station in America? I don't know. Does it corrupt? Maybe, I guess you're, like we said, you're bound to become a war criminal no matter what. But it's the president themselves that gets to decide, will we acknowledge the Libyan janitor before we pull the trigger? And I think that's the difference between a good president and a bad one.
Well said. Yeah, I think broad stroke, the statement that's saying about the institution of the presidency is that the president is a person too, for better or worse. Let the president go on dates.
Yeah.
Let them bang Annette Bening.
Exactly.
Hey, am I the only one who thinks she looked like Scarlett Johansson in this movie?
I wouldn't say ScarJo, but I mean, she definitely. After this movie, I wanted that haircut again, like I did when I was a kid.
Yeah, I was like starting to think, like, do I get a pixie cut like Annette Bening?
Oh,
no one should get it.
And hey, I think Annette Bening and her roommate had some chemistry at some points in this film.
Yes,
Yeah.
I wanted.
Oh, was that her sister?
Her fictional sister, yes.
It was her sister.
Okay.
I thought it was her friend.
I thought they were just buddies.
no, but just watch Nyad, Vince. It'll be fine.
It's not the same. It's not the same. I do want a lesbian president, so that
One day.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there. Kamala is the first step. Kamala, is that how you pronounce her name?
So first we get Kamala or
Kamala.
then we get Pete, and then we get lesbian.
Oh God, I want
Pete
them just. I
Buttigieg?
wanted Pete
Yeah.
Buttigieg. I
Yeah.
wanted him so freaking bad.
It can still happen. There's still time.
He is my choice. If anybody's
There's
wondering
still-
who I want for president, it's Pete Buttigieg.
There's still time for Pete. There's still time. Pete's young.
Ugh.
How do you?
Yeah, I know.
How do you feel about Tim?
Tim,
Tim
the vice
Walz?
president.
Yeah.
He's a little white bread, but I mean, he's not
I
hurting
think
nobody.
Yeah, Pete Buttigieg, he's not white bread or anything.
He speaks 7 languages and he's gay. We haven't had either one of those things in the
And in
office.
every one of them, he sounds like a robot.
I don't know.
He's
Isn't
adorable.
Tim Walz-
He looked like guys in high school that I wanted to date and then found out years later they were gay.
Oh, wow.
That's
Right. There's like
Fair.
that, like,
And you know that that's true
nostalgia
for some
factor.
ladies somewhere in the States. Like,
right.
Anyway, sorry, don't mean to derail the topic.
okay. All right. Well, it's that time, everyone. Tell the people who you are, where we can find you, and what anything else you want them to know. We'll start with Lisa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa. You can follow me on Instagram at Lisa_A_Alves. You can also follow me on TikTok. I believe it's at Lisa Alves Creations. I think that's my handle. I don't know. Yeah, it sounds right. You can follow me on those 2 platforms to get to know all my theater happenings. I'm also doing like book talk stuff. So follow me there if you want to be more literate. See you next week.
Woot!
Oh, hey everyone. Yeah, it's so nice to be here every week. You know, I'm looking forward to next week. Everyone subscribe to Matt's channel. Seriously. I should say that at the beginning of this too.
Yeah.
You know, from now on at the beginning, I'm going to start plugging your channel, Matt.
Thank you.
You know, because my show is on hiatus. Feel free to follow me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. It's only time will tell. Vinny Ridge Media. But hey, I've got some other buns in the oven, or some anyway.
What?
You know, I've got some irons on the fire. Is the idiom I was looking for that don't involve paranormal comedy. So stay tuned.
Comedy? I thought his show was a documentary.
It's a comedic documentary.
Oh, well, someone should have told me. No, I'm joking. Yeah, you can, hi, you can find me here. Not next week, though, because I'm going to be at Halloween Horror Nights. Then you can find me on Instagram. You can find me at TinkerJ787, or next week you'll be able to find me on We Like Theme Parks, because I'm going to go live. Yeah, so you should go follow We Like Theme Parks as well. And you can find me there. Thursdays, new episodes, and check it out.
Woot! Thank you, Jeanette. And my name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees, and this is my channel. Yeah, join us next week. Same channel, same time, roughly, probably 8 o'clock next week, not 8:30. But yeah, we're going to be continuing. Next week is Frost Nixon. I've only seen it once. I remember loving it. We'll see if I still do. But yeah, let's come back next week to talk about Nixon when he's not played by John Cusack. And then the week after that is the week I'm the most excited for. But can't spoil it yet. But yeah, what a good marathon. Anyway, thank you for watching, everyone. Let us know in the comment section down below who are you voting for this election season. You don't actually have to tell us. You can, though. I'd like to know. No, it's okay. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Matt, 2 degrees, teacup for 1. Good night. How do you end this?